Less Prozac, more protein. Less burnout, more babies. Less feminism, more femininity.
They won't say it or admit it, but attacking SSRIs and trying to take them away from people is a direct assault on women. Welcome back to my second ever YouTube video. Whether you found me through TikTok or Instagram, or I just showed up on your page here, I'm so happy you're here and I can't wait to get into today's video with you. I'm Ileana, and on this channel I talk about the intersection of parenting and politics. I talk about media, I talk about social commentary, I talk about social justice, and today we're going to be talking about this administration and its attack on SSRIs. SSRIs, which are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, are a class of antidepressants that are used to treat depression. Healthcare providers also prescribe them for many other conditions like anxiety, eating disorders, OCD, PTSD, and more. At the most basic level, SSRIs work by increasing serotonin levels in your brain. Recently, RFK Jr. and Vance, along with numerous other MAGA goons, have taken aim at SSRIs, claiming that they, among other things, could be contributing to school shootings. Let's take a listen to what RFK Jr. said recently on an episode of Fox and Friends.
We're launching studies on the potential contribution of some of the SSRI drugs and some of the other psychiatric drugs that might be contributing to violence. You know, many of them on there have black box warnings that warn of suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. So we can't exclude those as a culprit, and those are the kind of studies that we're doing.
Of course, there's absolutely no proof that SSRIs lead to an increase in violence or violent ideation. The exact opposite, in fact, might be true. Yes, one of the side effects of many SSRIs is increased suicidal ideation, but if you're taking SSRIs under the care of a medical professional, then you're having conversations with them about your mental state. For most people, SSRIs take like 6 to 8 weeks to fully kick in and start being effective, but at that point, most people feel very mentally and emotionally stable on their medication. And if they don't, they should be working with a medical professional to find an SSRI or another solution that does work for them. SSRIs are safe and effective, and they help people manage anxiety, depression, OCD, and other disorders. Do you know what many people who have depression and anxiety and OCD also have? Suicidal ideation. So SSRIs are in fact used to treat that exact thing that RFK Jr. is now claiming that they could increase. And there is no evidence anywhere that SSRIs lead to increased homicidal ideation. And now let's listen to what Vance had to say after the most recent school shooting.
This happens too much in our country. And if you look, we really do have, I think, a mental health crisis in the United States of America. We take way more psychiatric medication than any other nation on earth, and I think it's time for us to start asking some very hard questions about the root causes of this violence. And I'm going to be part of that, and the First Lady and the President are going to be part of that, but that's going to be an American conversation that we're going to have together.
This rhetoric isn't new for RFK Jr., who has been a longtime anti-vaxxer and is always skeptical of medication. He's brought up his SSRI skepticism numerous times, but this is proof that his message is spreading, and quickly. During his Senate confirmation hearing, RFK Jr. said, "I know people, including members of my family, who've had a much worse time getting off SSRIs than people have getting off heroin." Now, just to clarify, SSRIs are not addictive substances, and when you taper off of them under the supervision of a healthcare professional, you should have limited side effects. While SSRIs are not an addictive substance, it's not a good idea to just stop taking them cold turkey, because if you abruptly stop taking them, it can lead to antidepressant discontinuation syndrome. If you stop taking your SSRI by tapering off under the guidance of a healthcare professional, then you should not have antidepressant discontinuation syndrome. And if you do, it'll probably be incredibly mild. Now, if you stop taking your antidepressant suddenly, then you might have antidepressant discontinuation syndrome, and it does have similar symptoms to withdrawal. But to compare it to getting off of heroin is completely incorrect. RFK Jr. knows this, and he's using it as a scare tactic to stop people from taking SSRIs. So if there's no evidence of SSRIs leading to an increase in violence, why is this administration blaming mass shootings on SSRIs? Because they'll come up with anything to avoid admitting that it's the guns. The GOP always claims that we have a mental health crisis when it fits their narrative, but they consistently cut funding for mental health services, reduce access to healthcare, and now they're doing the same thing with SSRIs. All of this moral outrage, the mental health crisis, it's fake. Republicans do not care about mental health. RFK Jr. does not care about mental health. Donald Trump, JD Vance, they don't care about mental health. They're using this, once again, as an excuse to push the policies that they want to push, which almost always have some sort of negative effect on women. They won't say it or admit it, but attacking SSRIs and trying to take them away from people is a direct assault on women. This recent news cycle isn't the only time the Trump administration has attacked SSRIs. The Make America Healthy Commission was tasked by Trump to create a report that assesses the prevalence of and threat posed by the prescription of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Doctors already know what the threat posed by SSRIs is. There is none. But here's the thing. Mass shooters don't take SSRIs. An analysis of Columbia University's mass murder database shows that the lifetime prevalence of antidepressant use for perpetrators of mass shootings over the past 30 years is lower than the average number for Americans as a whole. You know what demographic takes SSRIs at the highest rate? Women. The Trump administration may claim that their concern about SSRIs has to do with violence, but the data says otherwise. In my opinion, they want to reduce access to SSRIs in an attempt to further disadvantage and subserviate women. Let's get into the numbers. During 2015 to 2018, 13.2% of adults used antidepressants in the past 30 days. Use was higher among women, 17.7%, than men, 8.4%. In all age groups and levels of education, antidepressant use was higher among women compared with men. Over the decade from 2009 to 2018, the percentage of adults using antidepressants increased. This rise in use was observed among women, but not men. It's not surprising that more women than men take antidepressants, since women are both more likely than men to be diagnosed with mental health disorders, and they're more likely to be treated for their mental health. Nearly 1 in 4 women received any mental health treatment in the past 12 months, compared with just 13.4% of men. Additionally, women were more likely than men to have taken medication for their mental health, 20.6% of women versus 10.7% of men, and to have received counseling or therapy from a mental health professional, 11.7% and 7.2% respectively. Women aren't just more likely to get diagnoses and treatments for mental health, they're also more likely to experience depression and anxiety. Part of this is due to biology. Hormonal changes at puberty, during pregnancy, in the postpartum period, and during perimenopause and menopause can all contribute to anxiety and depression. But part of it is also due to culture and societal expectations. This is the whole nature versus nurture bit. One of the reasons women are more likely to develop anxiety and depression is because of the unequal power structure we have. Women are more likely than men to live in poverty, which can cause fear and anxiety about their future. When you feel uncertain about your living situations and you feel like you lack control, it can lead to feelings of negativity and low self-esteem, and both of those can contribute to anxiety and depression. Another factor is the workload. Often, women work outside the home, just like their male partners, but they are responsible for the majority of the household responsibilities. Although this is changing as many people strive for more equal partnerships, a lot of women still take on the bulk of childcare, household chores, caring for aging parents, all of that, in addition to their own jobs. And when it comes to depression, women are actually more than twice as likely to suffer from major depression than men. And while 50-50 parenting and household management is something a lot of us strive for, this administration has made it clear they don't want women to make progress. They are espousing traditional gender roles and amplifying women who embrace subjugation as trad wives. This is a quote from Indivisible, but it pretty clearly sums up what I want to say about the MAGA movement. The MAGA agenda has proven time and again to be antithetical to women's progress, cloaked in the guise of policy and patriotism, but delivering a ruthless blow to the very foundation of women's rights. From gutting our reproductive freedoms to mocking the pillars of justice for victims of assault, the MAGA movement's legacy is marred by its attempts to drag women's rights back to a bygone era. The GOP wants to roll back all the progress women have made. They want women to stay home, have babies, and care for their homes. As if the assault on reproductive rights, cuts to SNAP and Medicaid, reduction of workplace discrimination protections, failure to advance comprehensive childcare and paid family leave policies, and resistance to the ERA weren't enough, now they're coming for our SSRIs. Don't believe me? Take it from conservative influencer Alex Clark, speaking here at the right-wing Turning Point USA conference.
You are in this room and you are witnessing a cultural revolution. Less Prozac, more protein. Less burnout, more babies. Less feminism, more femininity.
Less Prozac, more protein. That right there says it all. I could eat nothing but chicken cutlets, and let me tell you something. I would still have anxiety. I could go on the carnivore diet. I would still have panic attacks. As someone with generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder who has been on SSRIs for over a decade, I can say from experience that anxiety and depression can be debilitating. It can feel impossible to do the most basic things, like go to work and maintain relationships. Without SSRIs, more women will struggle. They'll stay home and be financially reliant on partners or family members, and they won't be able to stand up to authoritarianism. When you're struggling to eat and sleep, Maslow's hierarchy comes into play. You can't worry about the rise of fascism when you're worried about whether or not you can actually consume your next meal, or whether or not you're going to get any sleep that night, or whether or not you're going to be able to leave your house because of the debilitating anxiety you're feeling. If you can't get out of bed, you can't go out and protest. And that's exactly what they want. After taking away our rights and constantly attacking our democracy, they don't even want us to be mentally stable. They want us distracted, unstable, anxious, hopeless, and unable to fight for change. They want to call us crazy, to tell us we don't belong in the workplace. They want us to be subservient, second-class citizens. When they say they want to make America great again, ask yourself, when do they think America was at its best? When women didn't have rights. Whew. Thank you for tuning in to my second video. I made some adjustments to my sound and my lighting a little bit. I scripted things a little bit differently, so let me know what you think of that. Another super light topic for today, obviously, but that's probably what you can expect to find here. I wouldn't expect things to take a much brighter turn. This is just where we are and who I am, and I have a lot to say about it. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, send it to your friends. I'm really excited to be posting more on this platform, and I'm hoping that I can just keep building my channel piece by piece. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time.